Joining us now for tonight's big close-up is House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer. Chairman, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. So, again, I've asked this question to several people, whether that be on the radio, whether that be with the panel here. When you first heard that Charlie Kirk was shot and we didn't know exactly what was going on, what was going through your mind? And then the second part of the question is, what will be his legacy and what happens from here?
Well, I was shocked when I heard it, and I'll tell you where I was. It was a very public forum. We were having a House Oversight Committee markup on the president's D.C. crimes agenda. So we were talking about out-of-control crime as word came in, and it came from one of my colleagues on the committee, Marjorie Taylor Greene, made an announcement that he had been shot, and I was just in shock, and like everyone else, wanted to know the details, and was obviously praying that he was okay. But his legacy, I mean, I cannot think of anyone as young as Charlie Kirk who had a bigger impact in their life. I mean, Charlie Kirk inspired a whole generation of young people to be active in the political arena. And I think what he would do is welcome open debate and welcome people who disagreed with him. And that's what it's all about. That's what America's about. That's what our Constitution's about and our democracy is about, is having free debate, freedom of speech, and freedom of opinions and ideas. And he did it on a college campus where we all know that the professors drift far left, and whereas they're supposed to teach students how to think, they're now trying to teach students what to think. So I think Charlie was doing exactly what he needed to do as far as inspire a young next generation to be active and understand the process, understand government, and have their own opinion. And if you didn't agree with Charlie Kirk, that was fine. And he didn't mind. He welcomed the debate. And it's just a tragedy what happened, but I think his legacy will live on. And I think that his movement's only going to get bigger as the days pass.
No one embraced the First Amendment more than Charlie Kirk, David.
Yeah, not at all. Chairman Comer, David Webb here. Good to talk to you again. You know, Charlie engaged, and that's my word for it. He didn't, he debated, but he really engaged people and brought them in. He asked for them to find their better selves, their better arguments to make their case. He didn't demand agreement. But he also asked better of our political leaders. He asked better of those that would seek public office. His effect on the members of Congress, especially some of the newer and younger Republicans that have come to Congress, could you give us some insight on that?
Yeah, there are several young members on my oversight committee. Anna Paulina Luna comes to mind, that were brought into the political process by Charlie Kirk. And many were inspired by Charlie Kirk. I remember when I was going on his podcast a few months ago for the first time, my daughters heard about it. And one's in college, one's in, at the time was in middle school, and they knew who Charlie Kirk was, and I was shocked. And I realized then that, he has really been effective at reaching out to young people, getting young people interested. And I hope that this translates to those of us in Congress too, that we can do better and that we can debate without being so hostile at times. But I think that what Charlie Kirk has done is he's created a movement that we need in America, where people know what's going on in the government. And a lot of people didn't. A lot of people just believed what the liberal media told them or what their liberal college professors were telling them. And I think that Charlie Kirk's opened a lot of eyes. And I hope that the leaders in Congress, especially the young ones that were inspired by Charlie Kirk, I hope that they can take the baton and really make a difference and think about Charlie as they try to debate and get people to agree with them and govern. And that's what we need in Washington.
Chairman Comer, it's Alicia Acuna. Thank you again for being here. I'm going to switch gears a bit. So your oversight committee is nearly done talking with former Biden officials over the Autopen scandal. You interviewed former White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre last week. A source tells Fox that she admitted Biden was not the same man when she met him, which contradicts what she said for years.
He's the president of the United States. You know, I can't even keep up with.
The president doesn't need a cognitive test. That part of the report we don't think lives in reality.
Is anyone in the White House hiding information about the president's health or his ability to do the job day to day?
Absolutely not. You all have called this the cheap fakes video, and that's exactly what they are. They are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith.
Okay, so Jean-Pierre said she doesn't know who put the cheap fakes talking point in her binder, while also blaming senior level administration officials for giving her talking points on Biden's health. Former White House Chief of Staff Jeff Zients is testifying this Thursday. Now, he's the last aide who's scheduled to be interviewed. So a couple of questions here. What are you expecting from Zients? And then also, what should the American people expect once this is all wrapped up?
Well, we have a lot of questions for Zients. A lot of things point to him as being one of the chief instigators of many of the pardons, including the pardon of Dr. Fauci. So we want to know what the process was. We've asked everyone what the process was with the Autopen, and we're getting a lot of conflicting answers. But what people have told us in sworn testimony in our depositions and transcribed interviews is very different than what we're seeing with the emails that have recently surfaced. In other words, there are huge inconsistencies in how the process worked for the Autopen. If you look at the emails that surfaced last week, when you have Department of Justice officials in the Merrick Garland Department of Justice essentially asking White House officials, did the president even know who he just pardoned? I mean, that's a serious concern, and that's why we're doing this investigation. So Zients is the last person that we have scheduled to bring in. We'll make a decision if we need to bring in more. A lot of people have mentioned Kamala Harris, but Kamala Harris, just with what she wrote the other day, I mean, it shows if you look at one of the excerpts from her book, she said, we should never have let Joe make the decision as to whether or not he should run for re-election. I mean, that is an unprecedented level of disrespect, and I think that's symbolic of what was going on in the White House, especially in the last 3 months of this administration. No one was letting Joe make decisions on his own. They were making those decisions. They were using that Autopen just like they were the president of the United States, and that is illegal, and that puts in legal jeopardy all the pardons and all of the executive orders, especially the ones that were signed with the Autopen in the last 3 months, because after that disastrous debate, by all accounts, everyone in the White House just kind of shoved poor old Joe Biden to the side. And from what we've seen thus far, it looks like some of the high-level staffers were calling the shots. If you go back to what Jean-Pierre said, that she didn't know who put that deep fake statement in her talking points, that's a concern. If you're the White House spokesman and you don't even know who's giving you talking points to go out and talk on behalf of the President of the United States, I mean, that's a concern. So we've seen this level of disruption the entire investigation over the past 2 months, and I think that everyone should be concerned about how staffers in the future could have the authority to use the Autopen to sign things, legal documents like pardons and executive orders.
Nicole.
Chairman Comer, as you kind of just touched on, Kamala Harris is throwing Joe Biden under the bus in her soon-to-be released memoir. Mm-hmm. And in an excerpt, The Atlantic, she says Biden got tired and that his age started to show at the end of his presidency. And she also trashed Biden's decision to run for re-election as, quote, recklessness. And she said Jill Biden was partly to blame. So I guess my question, Chairman Comer, will you request a testimony from former Vice President Kamala Harris in the Autopen investigation?
Well, when you look at the purpose of this investigation, and the big question I have is, are these pardons and executive orders legal, especially the ones that were signed with the Autopen on days when Joe Biden was in the White House during the lame duck presidency, when many of those executive orders were used to Trump-proof the administration. Kamala Harris gave us a lot of what we felt like she would say if she were telling the truth, and that is that we just got to the point to where we didn't let Joe Biden make any decisions. We just kind of took the White House over, and we just use that Autopen just like it was ours. And that's illegal. Remember, Joe Biden gave an interview to the New York Times, the only interview that I know of that he's done post-presidency. And he admitted that he didn't make decisions on all those individual pardons, that he just delegated them to the staff. The staff doesn't have the constitutional ability to grant pardons, only the President of the United States. So I think Kamala Harris, as I've said over the past 6 weeks, she's welcome to come to our committee anytime. But as far as putting up a legal battle to try to spend months and months and months to get her in when all of these pardons and executive orders are still in legal jeopardy, I think we need to hurry up and wrap this investigation up, because we all know congressional investigations tend to take too long. But again, I'll say this publicly for the 15th time, Kamala Harris is welcome to come in and talk to our committee. I think she knows our concern is that Autopen. And if she wants to come in and say under oath that Joe Biden was the one making the decisions on that Autopen, she's more than welcome. But I will tell you, that is contradicts what a lot of people have said under oath and what these emails that we've been getting coming in. So she's welcome to come in, but we're not going to spend a lot of time in court trying to get her in, because we need to make a decision on these pardons and executive orders, and that's our top priority.
Chairman Comer, I think you'll see Liz Cheney poolside at Mar-a-Lago before Kamala Harris takes you up on that particular invitation. But, you know, it's worth trying, and that's the important thing. But either way, it's a Sunday night. We really appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much again.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.